Hello and welcome on in to Classic Pro Wrestling with the WFIA podcast show. I am Chris DeCarlo, the vice president of the WFIA. In the corner to my right is the man with class, Mike, the class DiGregorio from Rhode Island. How are you?
I'm great, everybody.
Always in the corner to my left, he is the podcast host, the producer, the internet radio DJ, the one and only Mr. Benny Scala.
Great to be here as always.
Our special co-host for tonight's great show underneath Mike the Class is author, movie actor, improv, artist, everything under the sun, wrestling historian, friend, Mr. Mike Messier.
Hi, guys. Hi, Chris. Hi, Mike. Hi, Benny. Hi, Kelly. Glad to be here. It's going to be a fun show, and looking forward to our special guest.
And, of course, last but not least, our main event guest for tonight, as we promised, live here on the Playa Entertainment Network YouTube channel, as we are live. Please watch, like, and subscribe. She is known as Slaughter's daughter, but she is the one and only Kelly Slaughter. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we appreciate you and your time tonight. And anybody in the live chat, Benny will keep us apprised of that. Hello, and we appreciate you tuning in tonight. And Benny, if you will, please, my video disclaimer first. This is under U.S. Copyright Law 107, fair use. These videos are my own personal library. I do not rent them. I do not sell them. I clip them for the enjoyment each and every week of this show and to keep classic pro wrestling alive. Also for our comments, which we will be commenting on. So, Benny, with that, please roll. I believe is Sarge 1.
Sergeant 1.
This one did not have any sound.
With both men before we had this big match.
Look, as the conductor, stop like gentlemen out here on this interview now. You can get into the ring after it, but right now, be gentlemen about this.
That's why I'm always a gentleman. You know that, Sandy Scott. I'd just like to say to you, Wahoo McDaniels, you've been shooting your big mouth off all over the United States about Sergeant Slaughter not defending his title against you. Well, tonight it's going to happen. Wahoo McDaniels, I don't like you. I never have liked you. And we'll just see what you can do. It'll be one chance in a million if you beat Sergeant Slaughter.
All right, gentlemen, as you know, it's a 30-minute time limit in this match.
Sergeant Slaughter. Dick Bockwinkel, do you believe this? Offering the hand to Sergeant Slaughter.
The sergeant vigorously takes the chain, wraps it around the throat.
The Russian made the first move, Mario, so you can't begrudge even the referee at this point.
Not at all.
He's got the Russian's chain, and the Russian's on the receiving end of it.
He deserves it. He tried to.
Some classic footage there of Kelly's great dad, Sergeant Slaughter. But before we show our second clip, Kelly and everybody out there, it is my one son. Happy 24th birthday to my son, Christopher. He's a big fan of your dad, of course, Sergeant Slaughter and G.I. Joe. And he made this second clip for tonight's show. Benny, please roll it.
Sergeant 2.
They say we must be gods. We turn those bastards to stone.
You speak ancient Greek?
Little bit. Had a year of it in college. What's the matter? Surprised I went to college?
Lady, look, just remember, when you're in D.C., you better have the time of your life.
Can you taste all the different meats in there?
Mm-hmm. And that's an order.
Speakerphone.
You better have my steam cabinet fixed. I'm stuck in traffic on the Brooklyn Bridge, but I'm taking a shortcut, and I'll be right there.
How could you take a shortcut off the Brooklyn Bridge? That's a goof.
It helps if you have a Sherman tank, bozo.
Wow, some classic great footage there. So Kelly, welcome, and we appreciate you. And I'm sorry, I forgot the you were into. Was it Spartan or Sparta?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I did obstacle course racing for a couple years, including Spartan races. I
That's what
haven't
it was.
done one in a while. I got a couple injuries.
Oh,
Had to take
yeah.
a break.
But we were talking before you got here off camera that you're very fit. You're always in the gym, as we see on your social media. And I was telling the guys you did like all kinds of different exercises, right? Like over 100 burpees and all that stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah. When I was training for Spartans, I was doing lots of like endurance exercises and the penalty if you can't do or at the time, the rules have changed since I did them, but the penalty for not being able to do an obstacle was 30 burpees, and so I would I would train to do burpees because I knew I wasn't going to be able to do all the obstacles. And yeah, I would get on like the treadmill or the elliptical and I'd be on for 5 minutes as fast as I can. And then I'd get off and do burpees and then I'd get back on the elliptical. So yeah, it was pretty intense training. That was just endurance training. I also had to do strength training.
Yeah, I remember that. I had you on the other podcast once a year, and you were always doing that. But Benny, want to ask our guest a question?
I really want to make a comment more, and I want Kelly's reaction because for 4.5 years I did a podcast called Dan and Benny in the Ring, and besides wrestlers, we interviewed many children, professional wrestlers. I wrote a few down. Mary Fries, who was the daughter of Pampiro Firpo, Stephanie Kojima, the daughter of Hiro Matsuda, Paige Von Hess Sutherland, who I absolutely love, the daughter of Kurt Von Hess, Shane Russell, Travis Orndorff, Jessica Solt, who is the daughter of Bobby Heenan, and recently on my other podcast, I interviewed Melody Paris, who's the granddaughter of Ivan Koloff. And my comment is that growing up in such a tumultuous kind of atmosphere, I know like Paige Von Hess said she moved 17 times in 10 years because back then, Kurt, her dad was going back and forth between the two territories. But I have to say that every single one of you to a person turned out to be absolutely amazing, productive, totally grounded people. So what's the secret sauce? How do you make that work?
I credit my mom. I credit my mom for keeping my dad's feet on the ground, and she did not let Sarge in the house. He did have like an office and he could have his memorabilia in there, but Sarge, the gimmick, was not allowed in the house. And she didn't marry a wrestler. She married a barber and a roofer. So wrestling wasn't her thing and it wasn't part of their lives in the beginning. So I definitely credit my mom for that and keeping us as kids humble too. And even my dad would do things to make sure that we knew that we were very lucky and fortunate for everything that we had. So,
Mike Messier, a question for Kelly.
I did watch some of your other podcast interviews, Kelly, and I was one of the things you said that was of interest to me as someone who has struggled with weight loss and weight gain and diet and all types of good things for most of my life, including back to probably age 8 or 9. I believe you said you lost about 140 pounds, and was it a year and a half or something like that?
Wow.
yeah, I can't remember how long it took me to lose the 140 pounds. I did some fad diets and I did keto and lost a bunch of weight really fast because I was also in the gym. And then as soon as I stopped doing keto, I gained probably 40 to 60 pounds back, somewhere around there. So then I've now lost that plus a little bit. But yeah, altogether, I've lost 140 pounds. I started my fitness journey in 2020.
Wow.
So,
That's incredible.
Well, congratulations. I did have a follow-up question. It runs a little deep, so if it's too deep, you can just defer. But I'm curious, like I said, as someone who's had the same type of issues, do you feel in any way that your dad being on the road so much and your mom kind of holding down the fort on her own and having a thing where like your dad's doing these crazy story angles on television, and do you think that might have, I don't know if you had the weight problem as a child, but do you think that might have affected it? Like just having a father as this wrestler, did that affect your weight at all?
Well, my dad was really big into food, and a lot of our celebration, like when my dad would come home, it was a huge celebration. It was like a Christmas. It was a holiday when he would come home, and he like literally it was like Christmas. He would bring us gifts, and my mom would make a beautiful, nice dinner, and um, a lot of time spent with my dad was food related. And yeah, so I definitely think that that impacted it a lot. I also have like a sugar addiction, so I love sugar. And so that was like one of the first things that I did was cut sugar out of my diet. I do eat some sugar, but I try not to. Um, so yeah, it's learning. Not everything is going to work for everyone, I feel like, but for me, like learning what like my vices were and the fact that I can recognize that I have a sugar addiction. I can't have a pan of brownies sitting there. I'm going to eat the entire thing.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I cut back on, for instance, I don't know why I'm getting this echo, but I cut back on pizza quite a bit myself, because if there's a pizza in front of me, I'll eat the whole thing. So I get that, and that's very interesting. As a kid, I know that you were aware of what your dad did for a living, and it was different than the other. But you said that it's almost like you thought every family had the token celebrity. And was there a point when you kind of realized, hey, my dad is unique and his profession is unique, and not, Susie down the street, her father's not wrestling the Iron Sheik in a boot camp match tonight in Landover, Maryland? Like, when was the recognition that our family is working differently than most of the Joneses?
well, I realized that not everyone had a celebrity in their family when I asked someone if I could meet their uncle Michael Jackson because her last name was Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in first grade when that happened, but I don't think it really dawned on me like the gravity of everything and like really how well known my dad was until I got a little older
And
and I understood it more, more mature, you know, and like really understanding everything. And my sister and I remember watching, I don't know, some pay-per-view when he was the commissioner, and it like cut to commercial or whatever it cut, and we looked at each other and we were like, that was dad on TV. Like, what is happening right now? Like, it was just like we had this epiphany and we were adults, so yeah, it was. I mean, you have to remember too that my dad's been wrestling since before I was born.
Right.
And so it was just a part of our lives. And I didn't really like know anything different. That was just what my dad did. So
Did you guys go by? Was it Ramus? Is it Remus? Is that the family name, or
Remus.
Remus? Yeah. And you went by Remus, not Slaughter, in your day-to-day life, right?
Correct.
Did I guess I'll ask one more question and pass the baton, but this is fascinating stuff. I'm just curious, you and your sister, when you got to be like of dating age, 15, 16, 17, whatever that was, did you have any suitors or potential boyfriends or anything that maybe were like, hey, where's the Sarge? Or I can't believe he turned on America and is teaming up with General Adnan. Like, did you have any marks in the house? Was there any Mark boyfriends who were looking for an autograph, or was that buried because you were using the Ramus name, and unless they were reading the Observer, they had no idea of your family's situation?
So I didn't have a lot of boyfriends, but I do remember my dad telling one of my boyfriends he had something in the trunk of the car and it was like, moving around as he drove. And finally, my boyfriend who was in the back seat was like, "What is that?" And my dad did not like this boyfriend, and he was like, "That's the body of Kelly's last boyfriend."
Perfect.
That's great.
But I definitely did have guys that tried to like date me or whatever to get wrestling tickets. A friend of mine actually heard a guy telling his friend that like he was like this close to getting tickets and like how he was talking to me and stuff. And I was like, well, thanks for telling me. So he did not get any wrestling tickets.
Yeah, no tickets for you. All right, I've asked enough for a while. I could go all night, but I'll let the other gentleman get in there.
Mike, the class, a question for Kelly.
Kelly, yeah, as far as your current fitness regimen, do you do like, are you like a trainer also? Like, or you just do it for your own personal fitness?
I'm not a personal trainer, but I am a fitness instructor. I'm certified in 3 different formats. I do body combat, core, and tone. And I teach a core class once a week at my local gym. And then I just sub for the other classes, but I'm certified in those too. And body combat is my favorite.
Wow, awesome. Benny, a question for Kelly.
So, growing up as the Slaughter daughter, your dad kind of morphed between, and he did it effortlessly, and he was so good at being either a heel or a face. Was your classmates and your neighbors, were you treated differently when he was a heel versus him as a baby face?
Oh yeah. I mean, they made fun of me for my dad when he was a baby face too. I was very proud of who my dad was, and I would wear like his merch and stuff like that at school, and I would get laughed at and made fun of. But when he turned heel and he was an Iraqi sympathizer, I got it really bad in school then. It was like torment. I was basically tortured. It was awful. And I would tell my dad what they would say, and I would want to come back, like, help me out here. Like, you do this for a living. Can you please give me something that I can say to these people? And he would just say, tell them we're laughing all the way to the bank.
True. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And like, I'm like, 12, 13. I'm like, I know what that means. I'm not telling them that. Give me a good comeback, Dad.
Or come to school and cut a heel promo on him. That'd be
yeah.
Right. But he did have to come to the school and talk to my whole class, like my entire grade.
Wow.
During the Iraq angle?
Yeah, during the Iraq angle. It was, I got it bad. But, we also had death threats, and my dad had to wrestle in a bulletproof vest and all of that. And it's funny because I was young. I was in 6th grade. The weight of what was happening, I didn't understand. And I didn't I didn't understand why people hated my dad so much, and people that knew him, like in our town, that knew my dad, and now they hate him. I had a guy drive me home. I babysat his kids, and he drove me home, and I guess he didn't know who I was. and he pulled down our road and he said, "Oh, I heard Sergeant Slaughter lives down this road. Do you know him? Does he live on this road?" And I said, "Yeah, he's my neighbor." And he
That's a
proceeded
great
to
one.
talk so much shit about my
Oh,
dad.
jeez.
Traitor, and he's a disgusting, excuse for a Marine, and, saying all this stuff. And I'm just sitting in the car. And then he pulls up to our house and I get out and I said, "Well, thank you. And by the way, my dad is Sergeant Slaughter and this is where we live. Bye." And I slammed the door.
Awesome.
Needless to say, I never got asked to babysit them again.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, some people took that way, way overboard back in that time. That's too bad. I heard about the death threats and everything, but I guess as wrestling fans too, on one hand, guys, Benny, Mike Messier, we bought into it, right? So like when Jeff Jarrett beat up Flair a couple years ago, I bought into it and hated Jeff Jarrett more for beating up old Ric Flair.
I never liked him anyway, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of buy into it, right? So, but
the Sarge was so believable. I mean, even when he came into being, I had been watching wrestling for about 15, 20 years, so I was kind of smart, to the ways of the business. But he was just so believable that you had to hate him because he was so damn good at being a heel and calling everybody a maggot. Like, how could you not hate him?
Well, I kind of think that, I don't know, Kelly, if you ever saw it, but years ago, I did a YouTube video when I discussed that the first pro wrestler I ever saw on television was, in fact, Sergeant Slaughter. And this was going back to his Cobra Clutch challenge days, like way back when, in his like Backlund era feud, and when he would put a guy in a chair and then they would agree to be put in the Cobra Clutch. And that is the first wrestling angle I ever saw on television. And when my dad started taking me to live shows, it was when Sarge was still a heel around 83. And basically he was fading into the Iron Sheik feud. And he did this really interesting match, which I think they did around the Northeast, which was Sergeant Slaughter and Samoans Offa and Sika against Rocky Johnson, Tony Atlas, and Andre the Giant in a 2 out of 3 falls 6-man tag. But it was just as Sarge was having those stare downs with the Iron Sheik and turning babyface. And so they kind of worked that into the angle in the match with the Samoans, where Sarge and the Samoans were teaming up, but the Samoans were kind of turning on them. And Kelly, I was in those arenas, the Capitol Center, and you could feel this momentum of the fans embracing Sergeant Slaughter, the character, the man. And back in those days, these things were very blurred, much more blurred than they are now, right? So I think the reason why your dad gets so much slack, and unfortunately you were a casualty of that as well, a collateral damage, as it were, I think the reason why people took it very personally, including me, because when I was a little bit older and I knew the deal with the pro wrestling, I was offended by the storyline and Sargent's involvement, and how can he take Vince McMahon's money and abandon the AWA to do this ridiculous Iraq angle. I was offended on a few levels because I was the age where, in theory, I could have been drafted into some type of Middle Eastern war if that were to come to it, which it didn't. But I think the problem, or the reason why you got so much hate in your dad and everybody, is because people loved Sergeant Slaughter so much that they really, it's a testimony to him. Basically, it's a testimony to how good he was at doing his job.
Yes.
That 30 years later, I'm doing a YouTube video where the video, I think, was titled "My First Wrestler and the Heel Turn That Worked Too Well," because in a sense, Sergeant Slaughter and the WWF with Vince McMahon and everybody else, they did too good of a job of turning him heel, because it got, in a sense, it crossed the line, I guess, because you can say that it crossed the line. I think they use the term white heat in pro wrestling. Like, if your family's getting death threats, they've kind of pushed it. They've pushed it so far, which, who's to say? I mean, this is all very subjective. Who's to say where the line is? But if a kid, I guess you're 13 or 14 getting death threats, we know that the line's been crossed with the audience. The question, is the WWF I guess there was a line where they had Sarge burning a Hulk Hogan poster, but somebody, I think it was Jesse Ventura, suggested they actually burn an American flag, and Sarge wouldn't do it because he's not going to do that. But I don't know if I blame the fans altogether. I think the WWF has to own some of that. Maybe your dad owns some of that too for doing it. Certainly you don't. You were just a kid. But I mean, the whole thing, I don't want to say it was nuts, but remember, this is a match that was originally supposed to be in an outdoor coliseum in Los Angeles, and they had to like lose some money on tickets to put the outdoor coliseum. They didn't do that. They put it in a 15,000 seat arena because there was death threats to your dad and to all the wrestlers and the fans. So this, we kind of can talk about it glibly, but this was actually a big deal that went beyond a standard wrestling angle.
Oh, yes. And, it really is a testament to how good he was at his job, because not only did he get this reaction from the audience and death threats and all of that, but I would say maybe 12 to 15 years ago, my dad and I sat down and got in front of the computer and we were watching some promos that he did from that time. And I turned to him and I said, Dad, no wonder people wanted to kill you and kill us, because I want to kill you right now. And I'm your daughter, and I know that you don't mean anything that you're saying, but I need to walk away from you right now because I'm about to punch you in the face. Like, I'm so mad at you right now. But
yeah, that.
It speaks volumes as to how, like Mike was saying, for in that era where kayfabe is kind of peeled, the curtain's been peeled back.
What happened? Oh, okay. Sorry, I just started seeing spinning wheels. So sorry about that. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
See ya. Internet. What do you get? Production now.
But Kelly, you were saying that even
okay, there we go. I can hear you guys now.
Even you as an adult woman sitting with your father, and he's retired, and this storyline is 10 or 20 years old at this point, and even you are getting enraged and now you're feeling what we felt as fans,
yes.
right?
Yes. And I'm like, I get it now. Like, I totally get why we had death threats, because I want to kill you.
I'm curious.
So I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Did you happen, and I'm curious in a big way, did you happen to attend that match? It was WrestleMania 7 in LA, Sergeant Slaughter defending the title. Interestingly enough, your dad is the only wrestler to go into a WrestleMania where his first appearance or match at a WrestleMania is to defend the title. I believe that's the first time. He basically came back to the company, and within 7 or 8 months, he's the champion, which back then was unheard of. Once again, a testimony that when he left in 1984 or early 85, people still remembered him moving forth to 1990, 91. But did you ever attend matches in person, either as a kid or as an adult? Did you ever go see your dad live?
Yeah. When I was younger, around maybe 7 to 10 years old was when my dad took us to our first wrestling matches. Excuse me. And it didn't go over so well with my sister and I. The first match I saw of my dad, I think he was wrestling a Russian, and I'm not sure which one it was. But he was winning, and it was great, and I loved it. And I was standing on the chair, and I'm blowing a whistle, and I'm cheering my dad on, and it was wonderful. And then the next match that I saw was him wrestling the Iron Sheik, and the Iron Sheik had a weapon and was going to, stab my dad in front of us. And so that did not go over very well with my sister and I, or my mom. It was a family show. So after that event, that was a little bit traumatizing to us. It was quite a few years before we went and saw him wrestle again. And, we were smarter to the business. We were older. And, it was fun again. But I've never been to a WrestleMania. I've been to some pay-per-views, as an adult. But yeah, there was a very big span of time where we didn't watch him wrestle.
Well, Kelly, obviously growing up with him over the years, I'm sure you met a lot of the wrestlers either at your house or at the arenas or what have you. Any Andre the Giant stories or no?
I wish I would have loved to have met Andre. He was in my favorite movie, The Princess Bride, but I never had the pleasure of meeting Andre. My mom did. My mom has told the story around the dinner table many times of going to Andre's house and everything was like Andre sized and having to like jump to get on the toilet. And,
Wow.
you know, my mom's 5'3" maybe. And,
Step ladder.
you know, even my dad says the faucet in the bathroom, he had to use 2 hands to turn it because Andre's hands were so big.
Wow.
So yeah, but that's really the only stories that I have of Andre are the ones that I've heard.
Benny, a question.
Well, I want, you know, being we have Kelly here and she's a fitness enthusiast. I started lifting weights in 1988. And along with that, though, I adopted the whole fitness lifestyle, eating healthy, you know, exercising, no, you know, obviously no drugs. I watched everything I ate. And, you know, we're getting to the time of the year when people make resolutions, New Year's resolutions, and a lot of them have to do with weight loss. And, you know, my thing, and I've gotten into quite a few spats on Facebook, is a lot of people want that quick fix, that magic pill. And, you know, you didn't gain all this weight. I'm talking at the editorial view. You didn't gain all this weight, you know, all of a sudden. You didn't wake up one day and you were 100 pounds overweight. You know, it's a little at a time, and you need to lose it the same way that you gained it. There's no, you know, so I guess what I'm asking is, you know, what message to me, it's, you know, it's never a diet. To me, it's a lifestyle. You don't go on a diet. You change your eating habits. You know, you change your lifestyle. You incorporate exercise as a part of your daily lifestyle. So I wanted you to make some comments on that, because a lot of people who are listening, maybe they are struggling, like Mike said, and, you know, maybe this is something they can hear that maybe would help them.
So what I always say is you start where you are. So what I mean by that is I started by moving my body because I knew that part of my problem was being sedentary all the time. And so I was like, I'm going to walk. It was during the pandemic. I'm going to start walking, and I could only walk 5 mailboxes. And then I would turn around and walk back home. And then the next day, I was like, I'm going to go 7 mailboxes. And then I walked 7 mailboxes and I walked back. And then I just gradually kept adding on mailboxes until I was walking a mile. And then it was, well, now I'm walking this mile and then I'm going to do this other little loop. And, you know, just like walking my neighborhood, and I built it up to walking 6 miles a day. But had I started out with, instead of walking 5 mailboxes, telling myself I'm going to start walking 6 miles a day, I never would have been successful. It was too high of a goal for myself where I was at that time, you know. 100% agree with you about it being lifestyle changes. I pretty much schedule everything around my gym time. I love my gym time. That is like my therapy. I feel so good when I leave. I don't always want to go, but I make myself go. It's part of my schedule. And you have to make the commitment to yourself and whatever that commitment looks like for you. If I honestly feel like if you make a New Year's resolution and it's a whole new me on January 1st, and I'm going to stop drinking alcohol, I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes, I'm going to eat a salad every meal, I'm going to do this and that, I'm going to start drinking a gallon of water every day. Like, that is so much to try to do at one time. That just gives me anxiety even thinking about it, you know, to try to do that all at once. So just pick one thing that you're going to change. And for me, literally the very first thing before I even started walking that I changed was I stopped drinking coffee. And I know some of you are going to be like that. I will never do that. But I switched to hot tea because I put so much creamer. And by the way, this is before there was zero sugar creamer, that I probably got 800 calories in 3 cups of coffee. I mean, I would put like this much coffee creamer. I wanted my coffee to taste like melted coffee ice cream. So I would put so much creamer in there. So that was like my first thing that I did. And then once I felt good enough with that and that became part of my routine, um, then I added on something else. I started doing intermittent fasting. And then that's then when I started walking. So I just did like baby steps, basically. But it is totally a lifestyle. And whatever you do has to be sustainable for you. So there's lots of fad diets out there. And if you want to do keto or low carb, have a low carb lifestyle, you can do that, but you have to know it's a lifestyle. You have to be able, whatever gets you there keeps you there, right? You can't lose all this weight. Like I can't lose 140 pounds. And then I'm like, okay, I reached my goal. I can start having, 3,000 calories a day, and I can start sitting on the couch and not doing anything. And I'm going to maintain this 140-pound weight loss. That's never going to happen. I'm going to start gaining weight again.
Right. It's delusional.
So, yeah, completely delusional. So, whatever gets you there is going to keep you there. And you can modify a little bit so that you're in maintenance so you don't continue to lose and then you're underweight and you're losing muscle and things like that. But yeah, you have to be able to maintain it, whatever that's going to look like for you.
It's really sad because you'll see like on January 1st when I go to the gym, it's packed, and then you watch throughout the month of January as you keep going, by February 1st, it's back to the way it was before Christmas. And it's a shame because, if you can, at least in my mind, if you can, like within say 3 weeks, if you can get into the routine of going to the gym, by the 21st day, at that point, it kind of becomes a habit. And I'm kind of like you. Yeah. There's days where I literally have to just get in my car and say, all right, you're going to the gym. Even if you go to the gym and do nothing, but then you get to the gym and you think, well, I'll just do a couple of sets. And then you do the couple of sets. You know what? I can do a couple more. Before you know it, you have a great workout. And then you feel good about yourself that, I pushed myself. I didn't want to go to the gym, but I went and I got a good workout out of it. So I think people need to know that, yes, it is work. It is, there's a certain amount of sacrifice. But I remember a long time ago, I read a Stephen Covey book. And the one thing I remember from it was begin with the end in mind. And, you really have to, you might be 100 pounds overweight, but you got to look at yourself and say, I am 100 pounds overweight now, but maybe 6 months from now, I'll be 50. And then, maybe 6 months from now, I'll be 100 pounds, I'll lose the weight. But you have to just stay focused to that end goal. You have to have that end goal when you begin.
Yes. And if you say to yourself, I need to lose 100 pounds, and that's a scary number to you, then you say, I'm going to set smaller goals for myself. And my first goal is going to be to lose 10 pounds.
Right.
And then you celebrate in some way. You don't celebrate with food. You don't celebrate with a cheat day or anything like that. You celebrate with, I don't know, for women, going to get your nails done. Maybe for a man, you're going to splurge and go have like the hot towel put on and maybe have someone shave you or,
Can I make a suggestion?
I reward to buy myself these Fakakta shirts when I,
what a great treat is? Those massage chairs, the shiatsu massage chairs.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. I want to get one for my house. I've been wanting one for forever, but I bought one of those regular recliners. And to me, that would be the most ultimate.
Yeah.
Like, because if you have back issues like I have, and Chris, you know what it's like having lower back issues.
Yeah.
That to me is the biggest like treat that you can give. To me, it's not food.
Right. It's
But
expensive, that chair, by the way. But
no, I know. That's why I haven't gotten one yet. But
Mike Messier, a parting question for Kelly. Oh,
you're muted.
he's muted.
Thanks,
There you go.
guys. Thank you. Kelly, you know, one of the traps of interviewing someone like yourself, who's a daughter of a wrestler, and we're on a wrestling podcast, is we spend a lot of time asking you about your relationship to your dad and so forth. But I'm just kind of curious, beyond that, in your own life, are you working these days? I know that you had some ideas of writing perhaps a book. I thought I heard you say in another podcast. Are you a married person? Are you developing interest? We're just kind of curious, what's your life about beyond the squared circle, so to speak?
I'm a mom and a wife, and I was the fitness coordinator at my gym until recently. I resigned to pursue a career in permanent makeup. So I'm currently apprenticing doing that. I also work at a tattoo studio a couple days a week. I have my classes, and I'm very much into fitness, obviously. I would love to write a book. I feel like I might need somebody to help me with it. But I would love to write a book. I think that would be really cool. What I would really love would be to be in a comic with my dad. I think that would be really cool.
Great.
I like that idea. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that is cool.
That's a dream. That's a total dream.
Well, guys, before we end this show, Benny, if you will, please, my ECMC still pick. This is, again, each and every week we will mention this until we help our friend locally here in Niagara Falls, New York, Mrs. Robin Restaino, get the desperately kidney that she needs. ECMC transplant is area code 716-898-5001. Blood types are A negative, A positive, and O. Please, out there, anybody locally in Western New York here near Buffalo, throughout this country, we need to help her get a kidney sometime soon. I greatly appreciate it. And Mike DeClass, why don't you take away with our independent wrestler of the week?
Sure. This week's indie wrestler of the week is Marty Bell. She is the current NWA X Pro champion and also an Emerge champion. She's rated, I believe, the 13th ranked number 13 on the Indie Experience amongst the top 25 for November for female wrestlers. Very up and coming wrestler here. And it looks like she may be also doing modeling and some other ventures also.
Very good. Yeah, I know her from the Billy Corgan's NWA.
Yeah.
And why don't you go with our military salute to service this week?
Sure. This week's salute to service is to Mike Fazio, known as Vic Capri in the wrestling world. He was in the United States Marine Corps. He is currently working as an independent wrestler, and also he helps with training other wrestlers too in various promotions. He spent some time in the WWF at the time. I believe it was 2001 to 2003, and then left because of an injury. Took some time off and then ended up on the indie circuit starting in 2003 to the current present time.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. And Benny, if you will, please, my PSA of the week. This week is spikescaninefund.org, O-R-G. This is a great, what would you say, organization, I guess. If anybody can help them, go to this website, spikescaninefund.org, and they help train military dogs, service dogs for the cops and our veterans and everything. So I think that's a good way of getting animals out there in the spotlight too. So, guys, before we call it a day here, Kelly, we greatly appreciate your time and you being with us tonight.
Thank you.
And
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Mike Messier, what do you got to plug for us?
Well, you know, it's a holiday time, so Mike Messier art is available. Mike Messier art, you can contact me through mikemessier.com. There's a contact page. This is a print of one of my artworks of a cat. And this is a recent picture that I did, or a recent painting, actually. So kind of a David Bowie inspired type of thing. But I have many different things. I have a Shopify. If people go to mikemessier.com/shop, the novel Fight or Play Basketball that I wrote and our buddy Benny Scala did the forward, that can be heard on audiobook on Hoopla and on Audible, and the print hardcover and paperback can be purchased. A great book for people that are hard to shop for, because I think it's a novel that pretty much everybody can enjoy, whether you're a sports fan or a fan of romance. There's some romance in there, all types of good stuff. So good to meet Kelly tonight and see you guys, Benny, Chris, and Mike. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. Great episode.
You were in a recent movie too, right?
Yeah, the movie that I was in, The Roaring Game, will be out probably in January of 2026. That is with Mickey Rourke, Rob Gronkowski is in the movie. It's about a guy who the lead actor was on a TV show called Blue Mountain State, I believe. And so the story is a character who's a hockey player, thinks he's going to get into the Olympics on the national hockey team. He gets kicked off the team, and he discovers that the girl that he's interested in, she's like a figure skater. So the only way she's going to the Olympics, so he wants to follow her to the Olympics. His only route to get in is to become a curler, and curling is like that sport you see on ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canadian. It's a Canadian sport mainly. Yeah.
Right. It's actually a very international sport, but Americans it's not. So he puts together this ragtag team of curlers to go to the Olympics, and the big opposition is the Russian team, which is I'm a member of the Russian curling team. The gentleman who played the Iron Sheik actually on the Young Rock TV show is also on the Russian curling team. So I got to spend a lot of time with him. My friend Tom DiNucci directed the film. And like I said, Mickey Rourke and the Gronk are in this thing. And but MikeMessier.com has films that I've produced and directed, Disregard the Vampire, Mike Messier documentary, and all types of good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. You are one of a kind and a great person, Mike. We appreciate your time and you being with us here. Kelly, again, we thank you. We appreciate you taking the time tonight to be here with us live on the Player Entertainment Network YouTube channel. And Benny, a parting comment to our main event guest here.
Yeah, I'm glad to meet Kelly. I mean, her dad was such an iconic figure in professional wrestling. And like I said, he just morphed so effortlessly, whether he was a heel or a babyface, whether he was in a tag team, whether he was single, whether he was a commissioner, no matter what he did, he just did it. One of his comments one time to Stone Cold Steve Austin was, he said, whatever job I'm given, I do my job well. And, he really did. He really did. Whatever they gave him to do, he did it so well. And so it's just a great pleasure to meet Kelly.
Thank you.
Yes,
it was so nice to meet all of you and to see you again, Chris. And it was a pleasure to be on. And thank you guys so much.
And you guys can follow Kelly as we do, friends on Facebook. She's got a lot of things going on, as she said here tonight. And she is a great person. We appreciate her and thank her. Benny, why don't you take us out of here? Guys, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good night, everybody.